Oh, hi, Claudia. How are you?
Hi.
Good, good, good. Okay, so I am just started recording this, and Claudia, I was letting everybody know that there's like a mute button that you have. Your mute button is either in the corner of your picture or it's at the bottom left of your screen, and so we can just mute ourselves until we want to talk. That way, there's no background noise, making it crazy for everybody. And then there's a chat section that if you guys want to talk via like chat, you can chat it. One of the gazillion reasons why I wanted to do this is I wanted to try this out. Like, we had this great plan of getting together all the time, yet we're all busy and we all have so much going on. So I'm wondering if this would be a good format for us to be able to touch base more frequently without it being like an overwhelming thing. So we'll try this out, see if we like it, see if it works. The coaches and I have been doing it since January. So I don't know when we started, a couple months ago, and it works really well for us. So I was thinking we could do it on a bigger scale with everyone. There is no perfect time, though. We couldn't, our team's just getting too big. So we will record this and send it out to anybody who couldn't be there. The advantage of being here is you get to speak into it, like this is a more conversation form. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule and your day. Thank you. Like, we're getting towards the end of that school year, so thank you for leading and pouring into your teams so well this year, through frustrating, through not frustrating, through exciting, not. I have been super, super excited to see like kind of all your hard work, your heart, your effort start to like flourish and take root. We can see it kind of like just in the culture and atmosphere of our team, as far as people interacting, people stepping up, people engaging. But we can also see it in the number of kids accepting Christ and being baptized. We've had 9 kids accept Christ this year already, and it is the beginning of April. That's super, super cool. We've had several kids get baptized. And so I just love it. And we have people that are really like growing and maturing in their own faith through serving. And none of this could be possible without you. So thank you. Thank you. I know this feels sometimes like such a thankless job, but you're making a huge, huge difference. It's also difficult because the larger our team gets and the more amazing our ministry gets, sometimes certain things feel like they move slower. And so that can be, for some people, super frustrating, because it feels like, you're, for me personally, sometimes it gets frustrating because I'm a fast mover. But I love the way that even though we seem to be in some ways kind of moving one little step at a time, the culture and the heart is there, and it's becoming extremely, extremely contagious. One little story that I was brought to my, like, I knew about it, but I was reminded of how cool it is when we stretch out in a leap of faith, and when we create an atmosphere on our individual teams that makes it welcoming for people, is we have a serve team member on our team. She started serving because she needed community service for high school, whatever you call that little aspect. And so she started serving with us for that. And then she loved it. So when that was done, she was like, can I keep serving? And she was amazing and doing such an impactful job with these kids. She actually developed her own faith through serving with our elementary kids, and wound up accepting Christ, being baptized. It was super cool to watch. Then I got an email from her mom that said, hey, my daughter's there all the time serving. She loves it. It's going great. I am not a strong believer myself, but I want to support her and encourage her. And I want to be with my kid. So would you mind if I came and hung out with her while she served? And I was like, absolutely, sure, go do it. Well, after months and months of this, her mom had been attending service with her when they weren't serving, and her mom wound up accepting Christ. Like, this whole family got impacted because we made a welcoming team that allowed people to serve and use their gifts. Not to mention the number of kids these two have impacted from serving. So I just like, as I was listening a little bit to the people on stage tell stories this weekend, I was just like reminded of that story and so inspired. So thank you guys for everything you do. And how you pour into it, how you stick it out, how you connect and care for your teams week in and week out. It's a huge, huge thing you do, but it has a huge, huge impact. I would now love to hear from you guys if you have any like wins or stories or awesomeness that you want to share with us from whenever throughout this year.
I think my biggest thing is like I'm seeing kids in my class that started out the year really shy, and you could tell they don't have friends, and they kind of kept to themselves, and now they like come in running to class with huge smiles on their face, and they're telling me these stories, and they're finally like connecting with their classmates. So not even just like accepting Christ, because some of these kids have already done that and they bring their Bibles every week, but like actually connecting to their peers and like just being more like outgoing and not timid. And so I think that's a big one for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's like been proven, like if kids just feel welcomed and loved at church, then this will be the natural place they turn to whenever they need it. So that is so cool. Thanks for sharing, Taylor. It's huge. Anybody else?
I've noticed my some of my leaders really stepping up, like leaders who started out the year saying, I only want to be a co-leader, which, I mean, they're still kind of in that place, but I'm noticing a growing confidence in them that they are equipped and they can do this, and it's not so scary. So I would say that's huge. And then also kindergarten, similar to what Taylor said, those kindergartners started out the year scared to death to come in the room, overwhelmed by large group, overwhelmed by the amount of kids that were in there. And now they just run in and they're happy to be there and they're comfortable and they enjoy it. They're engaging. Whereas those first month or so, it was like they were deer in the headlights.
Totally. That's awesome. That's awesome. Anybody else? Cool. Well, if you guys think of more stories, feel free to share them with us. Also, you guys have access to post on our Dream Team member page, so feel free to post any of these stories or shout outs to any of your team members on there. Just because I think like it's easy to see the things that need to be fixed, and sometimes we forget all the little awesomeness that's happening around us. So helping to share that. All right, so quickly I'll let you know what we're going to cover real quick today. We are going to talk a little bit about our team and what we love about it and how we can grow in that and improve upon it. I want to just check in with you guys to see how you're doing, what's working, what's not, where we're at. I want to check in to see kind of where you are with your team and how you're feeling about them. And then I really want to make sure also that you guys have a good picture of what we're doing in April and May, how we're going to integrate all these new Dream Team members, and Mother's Day and all that, Easter egg, kind of everything. And then I want to quickly go over summer with you and get kind of your input and into school year and get your input and feedback on a few ideas we're thinking about. So anytime you want, just like unmute yourself and interrupt me, or we'll have like some discussion throughout. And then also again, feel free to use the chat bar. So one thing that I've been trying to process and that the coaches have been trying to process is that there's different size teams, right? Like to use a sports analogy, you have like a golf foursome, and a golf foursome rides in the car together, and they can go out to lunch together, and they can be on a group text and really communicate and do well with each other because there's 4 of them. It's not that many people, and they probably are very like-minded. They probably play about the same, and so a golf team operates in one manner. And in some ways, that is super, super awesome. But a golf team can only do so much because there are 4 of them. And then you got like a basketball team. And on a basketball team, they're a little bigger. They can't drive in a car. They have to take a bus. But they could still all probably fit in one restaurant together. They don't all play at the same time, but they all know what they're doing. They all have different roles on the team, but they're all sitting around the same clipboard, working on the same plays, working on the same itinerary. They're all speaking into it. And so you have this basketball team. So they function different than the golf team, but still in this fairly intimate way. Then you have like the football team, and that's ginormous. And it has offense, defense, special teams. They can't ride on the same bus. They can't go to the same meetings. They can't, like, they don't even know what each other's doing. When the offense is on the field, the defense is like sitting on the bench working on their plays, and they're just trusting that the offense is doing a good job. It's just how they work differently, and they work in little gaps. But no matter what size team, they have their different ways of still having great communication when it's needed, great team camaraderie when it's needed, different aspects. So when that's relayed to ministry, you have like your smaller worship team, and then you have, maybe a greet team or a whatever leadership team over here. But then you have kids ministry, and it's 130 people, and operating more like a football team. So keeping that in mind, I would love us to think about what are some of our strengths as that bigger size, knowing that that's just kind of, we're going to be different from other teams. What are some of our strengths? What are some of the benefits of being that larger team? What are some things that we kind of naturally tend to do fairly well, fairly regularly? And how can we improve on them and grow on them? And what are some things that we're seeing other teams, whether it's our size or different teams, doing well that we could pull into and make it scalable to us? Does that make sense what I'm asking? I'm going to unmute everybody just so you can jump in and give me kind of your thoughts on, for a team our size, what do you feel our strengths are? What do you feel our culture is? What do you feel going well? And this is like a blameless situation. We're like, we do want to focus on the great things, but like we know that doesn't mean we're perfect. You know what I mean? But I think so often when you can, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, whether you're a person or whether you're a person or an organization or a team, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. And so you can't ignore your weaknesses. You need to improve on them. But when you focus on them instead of your strengths, you get stuck sometimes. Like, I could really, really try to be a great basketball player, and it's probably just not going to happen. Or I could really try to be a good gymnast, and that's a pretty good possibility. I could try to do that. So I would love for us to focus on our strengths, name them, and explore what they are, and kind of see where we are and where we can develop those.
I think the egg hunt is a great example of that. Being a football team, there's a lot of us, and you're able to reach more people. And, if we were one of the smaller teams, it would be a lot harder to pull that off. Now, I know that you have, great support from the church as a whole, but I think things like that are a great example of being able to do more because we have more people on a team.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I loved what you said, because you said like we can do more, therefore we can reach more people. Like, none of this is just like have big awesomeness. It's to reach people. It's for people. That's cool. Thank you, Nicole. Anybody else have any ideas or thoughts of what our strengths are or what makes us awesome?
I think the willingness for people to like jump in and help other teams too. Like, I think one of my biggest struggles with being like the room leader is that when some of my people can't serve, you feel like you're filling in every single spot yourself, and you can get kind of like worn down. And just knowing that like we can turn to you guys and say, look, like I can't serve this weekend and I have an empty spot. And then it seems like it takes less than a day for you guys to get someone to just jump on board and fill in for us. So That's
Yeah.
definitely huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so a little bit support from leadership.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Taylor. That means a lot, especially to Shelby. Any other thoughts?
I think, sorry, it takes me so long to unmute it because I keep like pressing it and it goes away. But I think that we do a good job of building community on our team. So like the first grade team, Taylor built that really well with adding people like from that she personally knew. Nicole has people she personally talks to and is in communication with them. So I think, and those are just the two that I'm looking at right now, so that's why I said it. But everybody has a really good reach of their adults, and so you can reach the kids better. And so I think we do a good job of building community that way.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, if you're on here and jumped on late, there's 4 of you that don't have pictures up or your names with you. Will you in the chat bar just tell us who you are? I'm assuming it's Claudia and Jenny, but I can't tell who the other one is. And Deanne?
I'm on. Do you see me?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just let us know in the chat bar. Any other thoughts on what our strengths are?
Strengths on what? What was your question? I came in late.
As a team, what are our strengths?
Oh, gotcha.
I think one of the strengths for us being a bigger team is that we have such varying levels of experience. And so we have the ability to help someone with less experience and pull them up. Does that make sense? And so I think it's easy to be on a team where, oh, everyone's a great musician, let's just say. And then how do we pull each other up? How we work is everyone's at such a different place that you're able to help someone up and to help someone grow. And as people are added, then those people who were new are going to be able to now help them and grow them. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, that's huge. Well, and why I'm so thankful that you said that because I think it's true. Like Nicole even mentioned that that's what she's experiencing on her team. But like, that's one of our core church values is to develop and deploy people. Like that's like the heart of what we're doing wherever throughout our church. And it's because of those stories, like I mentioned, where the girl started serving and then her mom and that like kingdom life change happened for them. Because of that. So that's huge. All right. Any last thoughts on what our strengths are as a ministry, as a team?
I think we have good support from the other like leaders of the church, like the other, like Ernest and the other lead pastors. I think they're really supportive and they always are putting out good messages to the main church. And so I think that's a huge part of it too. It's just not feeling separated from the other ministry.
I think that's huge. And if anybody's been in more than one church, they know that that's not always the case. That is not always the case. So yeah, that's totally huge. So thinking of our strengths, what would be some things, because like we're constantly growing, constantly improving, also as we've all seen the past few months, constantly growing, changing, like we're constantly having to adjust and improve and whatnot. So what are some ways we can, if these are our strengths, then we said it's that we can do more and reach more and have great events and pull together. We have a willingness to jump in and be team players and support each other. We have support from leadership on this team and a structure in place to help with that. We have people that are there making it personal, inviting others to come along with them and like building community inside this ministry. we have all different experience levels where we're developing people, mentoring people, giving people opportunities. We're improving ourselves. We're supported by senior leadership down throughout the church. If those are what our strengths are, then what are some areas we could focus on to continue to grow and get better and improve, to continue to make it more sustainable, more consistent, more impactful? Does that make sense?
I think it's constantly keeping everybody on the same page. And I think as you're raising other people up, that they're taught to do the same, because if you're consistent in that, then I think that will always be a key to staying, just to stay at that level. You know what I mean?
So what are some ideas of how, especially like you said, as we grow, what are some concrete ways we can keep everybody on the same page?
Well, there's traditional email, text, and stuff like that, and not everybody's always receptive to those. But I definitely think assigning coaches to rooms helps, because then we're able to keep the accountability with our small. Does that make sense?
Totally.
You know, even for Taylor, like, does that help you knowing that you have a coach and you have that accountability? And you know, I mean, I'm just coming from the leader standpoint. Does that help you having that one person to be able to that's focusing on you and you're able to communicate with?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you feel like you're getting messages from 5 different people throughout the week.
Right. So I think that's big. I mean, when we got assigned our rooms, I mean, there's a little bit of I wish I could communicate with this one more, but that's okay. Like, you still communicate with them, but getting that individual attention from, you know, your coach, I really think that's huge.
Awesome. Anybody else have any other thoughts on just in general, how we can develop or maximize our strengths in what we're doing well, or B, again, keep people on the same page?
I've found that your videos have been helpful, like when you record a training or something like that, because then you're getting the information, but you can do it when you have time. So if you have time at Wednesday at 2 a.m., because that's just what your life is, then I watch it at Wednesday at 2 a.m. and I know what's going on. I think that's a great way for us to be able to all have the same information and be able to receive it when we can, because it's hard to get so many people together, right?
Totally. Yeah. Totally. Any other thoughts or ideas on how we can grow in our strengths or play?
One of the things is just making sure, like when I send an email or Jen, and then you guys send it to the rest of your team, that it's like what Cece said, consistent, but it's through like through the mission and like the vision of what we're doing. And so, like, why are we having the Lego challenge day? Not so it's crazier or whatever, but so that kids can practice the skill of inviting their friends and evangelizing that way. And so just kind of making sure that we're being consistent with what we're saying and telling them, but like being consistent in to tell them why we're doing it, so that the mission and like the vision isn't lost, like to the people at like not the bottom, but like at the lower levels of leadership, I guess.
That totally makes sense. One time, I'm going to mess up this example because it was a while ago. We had done something, let's say like the Lego challenge, and I heard a room leader or a coach, I can't even remember now, it's not the point, it doesn't matter, hand the handout to the person in the room and say, you need to give these out to parents at pickup. And the person said, oh, why? What are they? And whether it was the room leader or the coach said, I don't know, Jen just told us to. Okay, well, these are going in the, like, I don't care to hand those out. So that makes good sense. That makes good sense. One thing to let you guys all know of that I informed the coaches of is based off Shelby's point, to make it easier for all of you guys to speak with vision and clarity and purpose. Brandon Yates and I have been working really hard for the past 3 months to come up with a clear mission, vision, strategy plan for all of our kids, whether they're 2, second grade, or seniors in high school, so that it's consistent. And so as we finalize that, we'll make sure that you guys have it so that you can be speaking that language and be understanding the why. That's a good one. Any other thoughts on that? Well, we won't sit here too terribly much longer, but if you have any ideas or thoughts that are like specific, again, I think we all get the idea, but like concrete specific ways that would work to create the culture we want, to create the community we want, to celebrate, to communicate, please let me know, let your coaches know, so that we can, again, continue to improve and grow and make this better. If you guys just even find little things like technology or whatever that help with communication, that would be helpful. One thing that even Taylor put in this thing is, and Cece mentioned, is like making sure that we're part of the communication, finding out the way people like to communicate best. And some people like it's annoying but don't like the group text, so sending individual ones. And I know I send group texts all the time, but like if you really want to engage and connect with people, figuring out the best way that they'll respond to you is huge, because you can be communicating till the cows come home, but if it's not in a way that they're going to communicate back, it doesn't help. So here is what I would like to ask you. What is personally working well for you as a room leader? What are things that are going real well? So we all know as room leaders that we're here to connect and communicate and care for our teams. And that sounds real pretty, but how is it really going? Like, what are the things that are working? What are the things you're trying and doing? What are the things that you're succeeding with? What are the things that you're like, it's crickets, I tried and nobody's getting back to me? Tell me how it's going for you guys and what's working.
At the beginning of the year, I did an individual thank you card and little gift for everyone on my team. And then I did it again at Christmas. And I'm getting ready to do it again here in May as we wrap up the year. And my team eats that stuff up. Like, they love it. They feel cared for. They feel special. They feel like they matter. And so I think 3 times a year doing stuff like that it's coming from your room leader specifically and not coming from just all of kids ministry. Not saying that's not important, but it's just like, it's an added personal touch of, you mean a lot to me specifically, and I'm glad you're on this team.
Mm-hmm.
So my people always like that stuff a lot.
That's awesome. And you're the best at that. They say that praise doesn't matter unless it's specific and relational. Like, you know, like, that's great. You think I'm good. Yay. Anybody else having any other ideas?
What hit it? I think she hit it. I'm sorry, I was muted. They're obviously having some problems logging on. I'm trying to help at the same time. I think she's right in that sense, it's the small connection, because she's overseeing that room and that feels very intimate and close. Whereas getting it from you, it would still feel like, oh, she's saying thank you, but you're not overseeing, doing her schedule, making sure their needs are met. So I definitely think, and that even goes hand in hand with the coaches being assigned to those room leaders. It's just, it has to be a contagious thing, and it has to be followed through, because that's how the next person's going to feel motivated to do it for the next person.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What are some concrete ways that you guys are reaching out to your teams and connecting with your teams besides the once a month, when can you serve next month thing? Like, what are you doing besides asking them to serve and giving them their lessons?
Yeah, for me, I don't ask anymore because I would usually just say, hey, just popping in to say hi, thinking of you guys. Is there anything I've been praying for? And I wouldn't get a response. But it's funny because I actually changed my wording to, hey, I've just been praying for you this week, praying for this, this, and this, whatever the Lord just felt, you know, was on my heart to be praying for. And then I would get a response like, oh, thank you. So, you know, some people aren't comfortable sharing, and that's okay. But I think even just them knowing that they're being prayed for, regardless of even knowing or not knowing what's going on, that feels intimate in itself. So for me, that's what I do. And I tend to get a response, whether it's thanks so much or yeah, I had a hard week. And then, you know, I mean, it's trust building, it's relationship building. So that's probably all I've really done other than the schedule. But if that's done once a week, that seems to be enough to where by the time I see them on Monday or Sunday, you know, you still feel connected.
Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, go.
Another one that I think is maybe really obvious but not always done is I make a point, if I'm in the lobby or the sanctuary and I see somebody on my team, I make a point of going and talking to them. We might not be best friends and hang out on Saturday night, but they need to know that I at least care enough to say hi to them and not act like they're a complete stranger.
Totally. Yeah. Those nice little hallway conversations. It's huge. It's huge. I know one of our room leaders can't be on there. She tries to, and it, like, not everybody can be there. She tries to, again, take advantage of the Sundays, and every now and again just say between services, let's meet in our room and, you know, we'll have cookies or donuts or whatever, you know. I know another leader tries, like, they know their schedule, so they try to just pop in the room at least once a month for when each of their team members are serving. Like, you guys know when they'll be there. So those are great ways. Is anybody doing anything else besides that to care for and love on their team and connect with them?
I live with someone on my team, so we connect daily, just through conversation and passing, just doing life together. So I think that's really helpful.
For real, like, anytime you can, yeah, anytime you can find ways to, yeah, that makes total sense. Anytime you can just, like, we're all busy, we all have lots going on, so anytime you can just connect and love on, and doing normal life. Like, I had a light bulb go off to Pam and Shelby yesterday because I was like, why don't we all go to the coloring night and hang out? Like, that's there for us. Like, so I would say if you guys have not signed yourself up and invited your team to the coloring night, you should. Like, literally, Nicole's doing all the work. We would just show up and have fun. So, all joking aside, though, I was like, wait, this is an event somebody else is putting on where I could love on my team. So meet me at the coloring night, ladies, and invite your teams. Okay, again, just like we said about the stuck and improve, if you have more ideas of maybe what we could start doing, trying. I know it's frustrating because you send out a text and they don't respond, but and we're about ready to be at the end of this school year. But just as we gear up, just think through, like, if what you're doing is not working, then what could I do different? Also, that is why we have coaches. That's why I'm here, is when you try to do something and you get no response, let us know so that we can help you and we can support you and we can give ideas. So often it's just like a small tweak, or it's timing or whatever. And so please let us know if you have any ideas or if you're struggling or stuck anywhere. But the key to our team being awesome and successful and doing all these things we said they were going to do, like filling in and stepping up and growing and developing, are not going to happen if they just hear from us, when can you serve? And here's your lesson. They have to hear from you at random times where you don't want anything from them, and that gets hard to do. But again, if you're stuck anywhere or if you have any other ideas, please, let us know. The postcards, the notes, the sweet little trinkets. Also, if you ever get stuff for your team, you can turn in your receipts. We have a Dream Team member care budget that we can take that from. All right. Is there any ways, and again, I don't want to like keep everybody till noon here, so we'll kind of go quick. Are there any ways that we specifically can support you as room leaders better? And again, blameless autopsy. It's totally okay. We're always growing. We're always developing. Things are changing. Okay, if you think of anything, please let us know. Whether it's let your coach know, let me know, whatever. Just let us know if you can think of any ways, because supporting you guys is our number one mission. Just that scalable, sustainable. Like if Jesus can only invite 12 people in close and care for 12 people, well, then we're only going to be. So without you guys, the rest of this doesn't work. You know, myself and 2 coaches and 150 team members does not work. So, so please let us know if there's anything. Is there any, and again, this is kind of a follow-up question. Is there any areas where you guys are stuck that we can address for the next 2 months, or that we can think through before we get into summer and the next school year?
I think for kindergarten, the Bible story, and I've kind of already shared this with Shelby and Pam, so it's not new information, but the kids don't understand half the words in the Bible verse that I'm like, you know, where it says in the lesson plan, like, okay, now read James 27.
Mm-hmm.
They spend the whole time getting stuck on one word and have no clue. So I'm just paraphrasing the whole thing, and I've searched for different versions of the Bible that would be best, but I just think most of it's over the head of the kindergartners.
Okay. So constantly evaluating the content of the lesson. I have no idea where that's coming from. Okay, we'll just keep looking at those lessons and evaluating them. And it's hard, especially like that kindergarten, first grade, because it's a reading issue a lot of times. And so you got one kid that's reading at a 3rd grade level and one kid that can't read yet. And so it's so tricky, the different skill levels. But continuing to look and address with the content of the lessons. Anybody stuck anywhere else?
I mean, with first grade, it's the same thing. Like, it's hard because the activities that we do on a weekly basis, they're either like too easy and the kids are bored and don't want to do it, or it's like too complicated and it's hard to like execute. So we've had to almost every week kind of like tailor it and make up our own like activities with what we're getting from the packet.
Which part of that's like how it should be and normal, because like this company does not know your specific kids, our curriculum prep team. And so a little bit, we're always going to adjust lessons, but if we can kind of keep in mind, we did cut back on the number of lessons number of activities we were offering you guys to choose from. Would it help if we added in like one extra one? That way you could be like, that one sucks, but I'm doing that one. Because we cut back because you guys said that's too many for us to do. But maybe if we just give you one more, that way, if one's a dud, you have a backup. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that might be nice. And then also just like looking at numbers every week. I feel like the supplies, we're always never getting enough supplies. We have like 15 kids in first service, and then by second service, there's only enough for like 4 kids or something. So if there are more activities to choose from, just like being aware that that also increases, like we're already kind of short on supplies every day, so we would have to just make sure that and so I know that also may cause like some budget stuff too, depending on what the activity is.
Oh yeah, and that's not a non-issue because we've been growing so quickly. Like literally, you guys, I'm not kidding you. There's a database we use to keep track of our numbers. Every week it says your numbers this Sunday were 10% higher than last Sunday. Your numbers this Sunday were 12%. Like they're going up and up on a weekly basis by a very high percentage. So Pam is working with the curriculum prep team to adjust that. She has now asked them, especially on big days, to present prep X amount more. Again, with our setup, we prep so far in advance. So we're evaluating if that's not good anymore, if we need to prep it closer to the time so that we can get more accurate numbers. Also, just so you guys know, we have a copy machine there. So if you ever run out of copies, let your coach know. They can quickly make you 1,000 more copies. So, but yeah, we want to continue to work on that because that's the worst. Okay.
Sorry, one more thing with that too. Since we have been having such high growth numbers, is there a way to get a reprint of our kids' like names? Because I know with postcards and stuff, there's been a lot of kids either missing or there's been kids that like I haven't seen at the church at all in over a year. So if we could get like updated lists of our kids.
Yeah, that's totally fine. We can definitely do that. If you think of any other ways you're stuck, any other ways we could support you better, and again, like not just the problem, but the solution, like, okay, if this is happening, what do you guys think we could do to adjust it, to fix it, whatever, please let me or your room leader or whoever know. You are the room leader, your coach, no, because we want to make sure we're addressing that. And a little bit like we might have to readdress things that we looked at 4 months ago because they're just changing. It's just different. Like our ways of doing things might not work anymore because we're growing. So it's okay to address things. The final question I want to ask before we quickly go over what the rest of it looks like is, and if you don't have an answer right now, that's okay. But think through in our community groups, church-wide, adults, custom, men's, women's, everywhere. Every community group has a co-leader. And there's multiple reasons for having a co-leader. A, to share the weight of leading, because leading gets difficult, especially as your group grows. And when I say the leading gets difficult, the caring for people and connecting with people. So that's one reason every group has a co-leader. Another reason every group has a co-leader is because there's times when you got to kind of play off that co-leader and ask them to help you, support you when you have things going on in life, and step up and lead or step up and take a piece of the group. The final reason we ask every group to have a co-leader, or one of the, not final, but one of the other reasons, is that develop and deploy. We're always wanting to find somebody that we can be raising up. That's how Jesus asked us to do ministry, is to equip others to do it with us. And so as we grow, we need to be raising up more and more leaders. And then the final reason is that is the only way we're going to grow. We can't grow without leaders at the top first. So say all that to say, do you have anybody, whether they're serving with you now or you just know them, that would make a great co-leader in your kids' room, that would make a great kindergarten co-leader, a great babies co-leader, a great whatever co-leader? I would like our next step for room leaders is that the room leader actually has a co-leader that could be co-leading that group with them. And then as we need to multiply, we have a natural leader, or as you get to a different season and you need to go somewhere else, there's somebody to replace you. Like that's a part of doing ministry, is you develop somebody to replace you before you move on. So thinking through that, and knowing that in fall, we would really, really like to have co-leaders in every kids ministry room to make this more sustainable. Do you have anybody that you think would be a great co-leader, whether they're serving with you now or not? If you have a name off the top of your head, we'd love to hear it. If not, we'd love for you to seriously think it through and get back to us. Does anybody have any ideas?
I would say Sabrina. I can never say her last name right.
Sabota?
Yeah, that one. Because I personally, I don't know if this is the time to tell you or not, but I do not think I'm going to come back in the fall. I absolutely love it. It's not for any bad reasons. I just have way too many things on my plate and something has got to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was already kind of thinking through that, like, ooh, who's on my team that I could ask to take my place?
Mm-hmm.
And so I love the co-leader idea. And I was already kind of praying through asking Sabrina, because I think it would be a huge jump for her, but I think she's more than capable and would do a great job.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. Let's talk offline about all that, because a little bit just like, were you at the community group leader training Johnny did when he was talking about basically same thing, like let her help you with communication, let her whatever. Anyways, let's talk about that. Anybody else have a co-leader that's natural for them? Okay, please be thinking about it because that's the direction we definitely need to go to make this a better situation for our room leaders and to make this more sustainable as we grow. All right, so here's what April and May look like. This Sunday in Kids Ministry, we have a new Dream Team member training, and we had such a successful recruitment Sunday last Sunday with the panel speaking about serving. Plus, coaches and myself have been really working on reaching out with people, so that kind of like helped propel them along. So we are going to have a new Dream Team member training or orientation this Sunday with tons of new people, which is awesome because that helps us out with our numbers being higher, and it helps give us some sustainability through summer, which I'll get to in a second. So here's the deal, is they're going to do the orientation with me this Sunday. Obviously not everybody's probably going to make it, so I'll keep doing it with people, but the majority of them will do it this Sunday. Then as many as can will shadow this Sunday in a room, and that means the coach is going to have a little checklist that they're going to go over with them. Then they're literally just going to watch whatever leader is in your room lead and partner with them and ask them questions. And then they'll just get to serve. Then their next step will be that they'll need to be shadowed by a leader. Now that we're doing multiple people in every room, it's a little easier because, like, for instance, Nicole, if new people want to serve in your room, which 2 specifically said kindergarten. So, but they could be like your co-leader one Sunday, and then the next Sunday you could be the co-leader, and they could be and then it doesn't matter who you put them with. So that's going to be the stage of training them. But our goal is to have as many people completely done by Easter Sunday as possible. So as you're doing your schedules, don't freak out if there's holes. Cover these first 2 weeks of the month as well as you possibly can, because by the end of the month, we should have some more availability to plug these new people in. But no, we had a great turnout, and you'll all be getting new people. So it's going to be great. We also just want to make sure that you're following up with your coaches to make sure that nobody's getting dropped. That would be the worst thing ever, is if somebody just kind of got dropped along the way. So no, coaches know that once I give them somebody's name, that's their baby, that they're walking through the process. Then room leaders, you need to know once a coach introduces you to somebody, they're yours to care for, to lead, to get scheduled, to finish up with. So let's just really make sure we don't have anybody fall through the cracks here. And we have a process queue where we'll be checking up with everybody and all that. Okay, then also this Sunday, we have a Lego challenge. And again, like Shelby pointed out, this Lego challenge is not just to create chaos and ridiculousness. This Lego challenge was just a little nugget to help kids start using that skill of invite, that faith skill, and talking about their faith. So hopefully they're talking with their friends and inviting friends to church. We have, and Pam and Jenny can correct me if I'm wrong, we have opening activities for you that are fun and about Lego, with Legos. We have, in large group, we have our starter game, has Legos in it. Then we have some more follow-up and fun activities to do in your room. We also have like Lego toys and prizes and all that good stuff. Then at the end of the day, so everybody's getting a treat, all that good stuff. Then at the end of the day, any You've Been egg bags we have left, we're going to give out to the kids. We're going to stop giving them to adults and just give them to the kids to take to school with them the next day to invite their friends to egg hunt. So you're going to have tons of Lego stuff in your room this week. You're going to have tons of You've Been egg bag. Pam is going to send out a text today or tomorrow to remind parents to have their kids invite kids, because if it goes out any later than tomorrow morning, kids won't have time to talk to their friends at school. We'll have a little bit on social media, all that, just so parents know. We don't want this to be an overcomplicated event, just again, that nice, fun way to get kids inviting their thing. Then we have the Easter egg hunt. Here's where we stand with that. It's going to be awesome. We're having a huge response with pre-registering. It is on Saturday, which it's never been on Saturday before. The benefit of that is that we don't have to try to juggle church and egg hunt at the literally exact same time. But the unknown is what Sunday's going to look like. Are we going to have tons of people because they came to the egg hunt the day before or not? We don't know. There's still tons and tons of room to volunteer at the egg hunt. If you want to throw it out to your team, send them to the special egg hunt page so that they can get plugged in, especially with, we need registration, parking, and inflatable help. Those are the 3 areas that could really, really use help. And we have tons of events going. Also, if anybody wants to stuff eggs, that would be awesome. We'd love it, but you're buying your own eggs and candy. And so that might not be for some people, but we're going to take as many eggs as we can get. That leads us to Easter. Easter will have 3 services. I'm not even going to pretend to say the service times because I'm going to mess them up. Pam, would you say them?
They are 8:30, 10, and 11:30.
Okay. So please schedule your rooms as best as you can. Obviously, you guys all know nobody's new here. That's a big day. Tons of kids who we've never seen before, all hyped up on sugar. But yet it's awesome, awesome, awesome. So we want our rooms really well staffed. However, because of the change of service times and because we're trying to look at the big picture, we have a master church Easter schedule. So if you could plug your people into our master Easter schedule, which is under the new schedules, it's like at the top, that would be super helpful instead of on your own personal schedule, because we're afraid that if we do it on our personal schedules, they're going to get emailed the wrong service times or they're going to get missed or whatever, because the automated system. So please put them into the master Easter schedule. We are going to do traditional service just with excellence and with Prepared for a Lot. We're going to have wagons pulling kids in. We're going to have a donut wall. We're going to have little special fun elements. And we'll give you guys the details as Easter rolls out, but it's going to be awesome. We do have 3 services, so anybody who wants to serve more than one, great. We would love that. Just to make sure that we're more than covered. I'd rather have more help there than not. We're going to have like a snack cart, a treat cart for leaders to help keep fueling them and all that good stuff. Then the final thing before the end of the school year is Mother's Day. And it is extremely similar to Easter. One thing I would love to ask you guys for Mother's Day, which we're not going to be able to totally do it, but as best we can, I would love if all our men served and gave our ladies a day off. So as we do our schedules, and I know some of you have 0 men in your room, so that's not going to work. But as we do our Mother's Day schedule, let's do our best to get men serving, and let's possibly even communicate with coaches to see if they can help you get men in your room to serve that day. Again, we're not going to be able to do this 100% because like kindergarten has 0 men in it. And teenagers and people like that are also awesome. But that's the only interesting thing for Mother's Day. Then, before the school year ends, we would love to have an end of the year Dream Team member party for kids ministry. So I would love to hear your thoughts and suggestions on places we could have a party, elements we could have at a party, and then dates and times of when would be the best to have a party. Because May is crazy. Like, I almost think May is worse than December, to be quite honest. So as moms, as wives, as people who serve, what would make you and your team feel honored at the end of this school year? What do you guys think?
The park we did it last year, I would love it if we did not do it there again.
Okay.
It's not super spread out and it's so close to the road that a lot of parents were very nervous. I mean, my kid specifically, like Eli, ran into the road. So a park that, I mean, there's a million of them, but that one in Founders, it's so spread out and so off the road. I feel like it would allow parents to be a little bit less anxious and more relaxed.
Matinee Park? Are you thinking Matinee or Founders?
Yeah, Matinee is the one I meant. But any of them. That one is just right by that skate park, and it's crazy.
So you think a park for families?
I think it's fun. I mean, my family always likes it. It just made me very nervous last year.
What about dates and times? Like early in May, late in May, weeknight?
I think earlier in May is probably you're going to get more people. You get too far into May and they're just exhausted.
Okay.
And they don't want to go to anything else. So, I mean, that's my personal take. I think that a weeknight is probably you would get more people too. But I mean, then I know that there's so many kids who have after school activities, and I don't know how that will play into it.
Mhm.
Maybe a Friday night because people don't have things on Friday nights. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no perfect thing.
What would it look like if it was an early Saturday morning? I mean, would that be something that, because a lot of kids are up so early, and you did a park, and we did an early Saturday morning. This way it wasn't anything like 9 to 11, and then people feel like they still have their day.
I'd say that's just as good as any other, except for the fact that everybody's in sports and that's when their actual game is, when their competition is. That would be my only thing. But there's not going to be a time where everybody's going to be like, I'm free.
Or maybe even a Monday. Monday seems to be the down day for a lot of people before everything hits the fan during the whole week. I'm not sure with everybody else, but I mean, I can make it work for myself, but there's a lot of families that have, littles, and sports usually are on Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesdays. I mean, so I don't know, maybe a Monday or Friday.
Okay.
But the park's a good idea. I think it was very well received last time. The games on the lawn, it's just kind of a hangout. Everyone's eating, everyone's hanging out, and people can come and go as they please. And there's, it's not too confined, or it's not in a place where everyone's going to get lost. And I didn't even get to talk to so-and-so, or, it's not like that.
What about elements? Is there any elements you think we're missing or should add or would make it more enjoyable?
A couple years ago, we did one.
And
we did a really cool, Emily Cloder and I did them. They were like a graham cracker, a box of graham crackers, and a thing of chocolate and marshmallows. And it was like a little gift for each family. And it was like a, happy summer, launch. And everybody loved it.
Okay.
So things like that where you're like, ooh, this is fun. And I feel excited to go into summer. Stuff like that's always fun.
Okay. I like it. Cool. All right. Well, then we'll start working on that and nail down a date and a time and a park and all that, so we can think that through and get that going. If you have any other ideas or suggestions or whatnot, please let us know. And then the final thing I'll quickly go over is our summer surf team plan. So if room leaders could please do your schedule, your April and your May schedule. And so the last Sunday that you'll schedule is May 26th. That would be amazing. Please do your weekly emails and everything else you're doing for your team through the end of May. And then for June, July, and to kick off August, the coaches and I will handle communication, scheduling, all that good stuff. So some things we're going to do to accommodate everybody's vacation schedule, breathers, all that is we're going to look at our service flow and adjust it. And so what that might mean is that we purposely make large group longer and more engaging, because then less adults are needed to care for said kids. We'll make some curriculum adjustments to where it's not like googly eyes and feathers and glitter and not that we have those activities, but I'm example that they won't be super detailed. And then even one of our first grade leaders gave me this idea, and she says she does this, and I think it's genius, is as we do our curriculum, she puts her kids, let's say she has 14 kids. She puts them in 2 groups of 7, gets the kids going on their activity, and then just pops back and forth between the 2 groups. That's genius. That's awesome on so many levels. That only works for certain activities. So as we prep our curriculum, we'll be keeping things like that in mind. The other thing we'll do is we're going to use these new Dream Team members that we just recruited. Plus, all of May, we're going to be trying to recruit parents, and we're going to be specifically asking them to give their regular leaders a little breather over summer and step up with us just during summer. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to, starting after Easter, beginning of May, sending the team out a sign up. That way they can just look at their whole schedule and tell us when they're here, when they're not here, all that. That way that we know, and we can just make one big master schedule, and we'll know what we need to do and where we really need to make adjustments for. And some people are serving 3 to 4 times a month, and so they need a little bit more of a breather, and they're only going to serve once or twice this summer. Other people only serve once or twice a month, and so they don't really need a breather. So we're not necessarily saying, a blanket statement for everybody, because everybody's in a different spot. But we're just kind of saying, let us know so we can make this one big master schedule. Then we're going to kind of start and take it from there and evaluate and go from there. That's our summer plan. Our summer is going to start June 2nd with a kickoff day. It's going to go through either August 11th or August 4th. We're not quite sure yet. But regardless of how long we have summer go, our big official move-up day is not going to be till August 18th. That's the week after kids go back to school. But we'll still provide, obviously, kids ministry in August. So those first 2 weeks of August, we're just debating whether we'll bring room leaders back on and give them kind of a slow into it month, or what that looks like. But our big move up day is going to be church-wide. It's for custom. It's for all of kids ministry, all of that. That's not going to be until the August 18th. The other thing that I skipped over was May 15th, Brandon and I are going to host a parents' night. So those kids moving out of kids ministry into custom, and their parents can come and learn about that ministry. So they're going to have kind of a transitional summer where they're not out of kids ministry, but they can check out custom, and they can kind of go to some events and kind of dip their toes in the water for that. So that's the nutshell of what summer looks like. The theme for this summer is Powered Up. It's like 80s video game theme. So I think there's some fun stuff we could do with that. We are going to have Summer Jam again, where we're going to, like Jingle Jam, like Summer Jam last year. So that's going to be a fun element in summer. And there's couple other little few things that we're trying to think through and work out. That's the nutshell of summer. If you have any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, concerns, I would love to hear them, whether it's now or later. One thing we've done in the past that we can't do anymore is we can't close any rooms. We're not combining any classrooms anymore. We're just too big. That would be ridiculous. So we're still going to maintain all 10 classrooms for summer. Thoughts, questions, concerns? No? Okay.
When might we hear more about the 15th? I just say that because I have a child that will be moving into that.
As soon as your student pastor gets his stuff together. No,
Okay.
actually, right after Easter. We're just super focused on Easter. So actually, no, it's going to be before Easter, because that would be ridiculous. Soon.
Is
I'll
it
go
for sure the 15th?
Oh yeah, that's the day. Mark your
I'll
calendar.
That's community group night, but I want to go, so I'm going to make sure it's on our calendar that we won't meet that night.
Okay, so I'll just give you a quick little gist of what it's going to be here, and I'm going to stop our recording. So for any of you who are watching this later, love you. Bye.